Oh, just a.
Call this regular meeting of the Board of Selectmen of Columbia order Tuesday, December 16th, year 2025. This is a hybrid meeting. You're here. A lot of you are here and a few are online. So we ask that you keep this respectful. The board expects we are respectful. I don't see it any other way. If we're not, I'm going to ask you to leave. Okay? We have some issues that are a little bit different. So we'll share our opinions. We'll do it respectfully. Anybody online, if you need to get a hold of us, raise your hand. Try and break in. We'll do our best to check with online to make sure you're included in thoughts and the discussion should we have any. First order of business, please rise and join with me. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America, to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. I move to approve the agenda with corrections to add Martha Carter's application to the agenda under section 8, appointments and resignations. To remove Robert Millard's name from appointment to Lake Management Advisory Commission. And to remove Ron Wickham from Inland Wetlands and Watercourses because his appointment to that commission is not up until 2027. Any more discussion on the agenda? Seeing none, all those in favor? Aye. Thank you. Approval of the minutes. I move to approve the Board of Selectmen regular meeting minutes from December 2nd, 2025. Yes.
So there's a name in there, Matthew Wilkinson, and it just says Matt Wilkinson. Figured you want a correction of the spelling, but that was the only thing I noticed.
Do you know him?
I don't, but I would guess it's Matthew.
You're guessing.
I mean,
It is.
I was gonna say the past.
Matthew with one.
I didn't bring it up for discussion. Sorry.
The
I was kind of
application,
joking a little
the
bit.
application we submitted last time, so.
Okay, great. Thank you. Anything else? Facts, just the facts. Great, okay. All those in favor? Approving minutes. Aye, with the correction. Thank you. Audience of citizens. Anything that's not on the agenda? Seeing none in the chat. Thank you. Right? Right now, see. Okay. Old business, speeding traffic committee update. Mr. Ferris, you are the chair of that committee. Would you like to probably condense your overall summary and tell me where we're at with this commission, please?
This commission's done a lot of work since it formed a couple months ago. We put a process in place to solicit town information on any concerns about traffic safety, pedestrian issues, anything in the realm of transportation. As those issues come into the town, either via phone call or email, we basically create an issue to track it. Then we bring it before the committee and discuss it and start to come up with solutions for that. It's still very early. We just started doing it in our past meeting or two. We hope to continue to receive information from the town and to turn those into potential solutions and track how things go as they start to become implemented.
Thank you. Although I see in the last meeting, you already have moved to recommend a process of integrating the automatic traffic enforcement safety devices, the cameras, through the town. Tell me about that recommendation.
Right. So there is, technology has been available a couple decades now, widely used throughout the country, whereby, cameras can be used to detect various different traffic infractions. Connecticut approved at a state level the ability for towns to adopt on a local level programs by which they can deploy speed cameras, red light cameras, as they're kind of called informally, to help with any safety issues arising from running red lights, speeding, and so forth. So it was a very long process at the state level, and they made sure it's going to be a long process at the town level. Both towns have already approved it throughout Connecticut, and has been in place in some locations for about 6 months or so. We were asked at our formation to consider that as one of many options. We reviewed a lot of information, had a number of discussions over a period of meetings, and there was ultimately a motion put forward and approved, not unanimously, to look into adopting an ordinance in Columbia that would enable us to use the automated traffic enforcement here in town. It's the start of potentially a lengthy process because it would need to first come together in the form of an ordinance. We'd have to vendor to set it up. Board of Selectmen would need to approve such an ordinance. I believe since it is an ordinance in Columbia, it would need to go before a town meeting for approval.
All right, so I'm gonna just ask a couple of questions. Have you talked to any other towns who have put these in place yet?
A number of towns, yes. Talked to folks from Washington, Middletown, a couple of other towns. They basically, I wanted to find out what concerns they had, if any, in terms of what they were hearing from residents, any concerns they had in their first few months of operations, so that if there are anything that we can do early in the program to stave off any issues they had, we would be able to do so. The one overriding concern that came up a few times was that at the very beginning of a program, when you first deploy cameras and people are coming through and aren't quite aware of them yet, you'll get kind of a blast of initial heavy load, which you have to make sure that the town is adequately equipped to handle that when it first comes in. But as long as we're able to do that, it generally something that the town can maintain. It is something that, based on the revenue that would come in from those citations, more than pays for itself should there be the need for overtime from any staff members who will be needed to review these citations. So that was the primary concern people at the municipal levels of towns that I've talked to had in terms of implementing the program.
Yeah, certainly. Let me ask another one because I'm fresh off of what you just said. You talked about the process a little bit. You talked about, what people are concerned about. I'm concerned about speed. Have you talked to any of the towns on what their findings are? Listen, I believe that people are speeding through the town. I see that because I'm doing 10 over the speed limit and they're passing me and no passing zone. So I know it happens everywhere. Have we gotten any results on other towns and what they're seeing as initial? And then after a 3 to 6 month, those towns have been at them for 6 months?
Yeah, absolutely. Talking to a couple of towns, Washington and Middletown, had a long talk over the phone with a couple of people in Middletown just the other day. They are seeing dramatic improvements just in the initial months of things coming online, not just at the camera sites, but they're seeing adjacent locations and even generally throughout town where they put monitoring and they're checking to see, hey, this is 5 miles away from a camera. Are people slowing down? And generally they are seeing people, and knowing that they are in a town that has speed cameras. It's in their head and they're saying, I know they're around here somewhere. Let me be a little slower when I'm going through areas. So they're definitely having a noticeable effect. There is data coming together to support that. Talking to people more informally in the towns that it's only been online for maybe a month or two. Their troopers are saying, yeah, I'm writing fewer tickets. So I'm not seeing people speeding quite so much in certain areas. And it's definitely having an improvement. That's just in Connecticut. This technology's been around for a long time in other states. Federal Highway Administration has reams of data supporting both reductions in speeds and as a result of that, reductions in injuries, crashes, deaths, and so forth.
Yes, Rachel.
So I mean, I have some civil liberties concerns regarding the traffic cameras, but even regards to, have you talked to anybody from Goshen that has the pending litigation right now regarding the speed cameras?
Right, there's a number of towns that, and this is nothing new, every town, city, state that brings speed cameras into the realm faces some sort of litigation or another. Everything I've seen so far in Connecticut has been litigated in other states, and it's nothing new. Ultimately, I think courts will realize that the matters have been brought up, and if you have any specific concerns, I'm certainly happy to
Yeah, I
address
think it's
those.
newer litigation, so we can't really say what the outcome is of that litigation. It's put by national organizations, so it's what the effects in Goshen. From my research, the effects in Goshen are happening throughout the United States, and it's not looking in favor of the towns because of those civil liberties. The oversight piece to it, that who you have enforcing it, on public roads, illegal really search of vehicles at that point, you've got due process issues, you can't defend yourself. So I think that's where I have some issues with it, so I'm just curious, like, if you had talked to towns, I've heard that Middletown in the last 6 months profited about $350,000 off of those speed cameras. I'm not sure what percentage of that was their town residents that were paying into that. And the residents of Middletown that I had spoken with about it, just kind of researching, knowing this was coming up tonight, had expressed that they had not seen a reduction from their perspective, that funding source was pretty consistent over the 6 months, which means that there's still the same number of tickets being given over that 6 months from the same cameras. So
I'd like to
that's.
know how many of those are residents of Middle.
I'd be curious to know how many are residents of the town, and also, what the legality is of us putting something of that nature on a state road, which most of the speeding in our town is happening on state roads. Putting it on a side road, it's gonna be all of our residents, so.
Yeah. Well, I will tell you, I talked to our resident trooper and I asked him to give me a monthly report on the tickets that he gives out, just him alone. On breakdown of residents versus people passing through. In November alone, he gave out 18 tickets for those passing through town. He gave out 11 tickets of those who live in town. You're on your own roads, ladies and gentlemen, and I know it's nobody here, I get it. And it's certainly nobody here. But the
Yeah,
bottom line
what
is,
percentage of drivers is that too? So, I mean, I think when
the result is,
yeah,
people are speeding,
oh, I agree.
okay?
100%. I live on 66, we see it, but, I know that when the traffic commission was initially established, one of the bigger concerns was the distracted driving that was happening on some of the roads, because we we're talking about the rumble strips and all of that sort of stuff. So I'm curious what have you guys discussed other proposals to deal with some of the traffic concerns?
Yes, we have. We've identified a number of tools that we have in our tool belt that we can potentially use as we start to identify these issues. One of those tools that's not currently in our tool belt is automated traffic enforcement, because it would be a long process for us to even have it there to consider.
That doesn't deal with the distracted driving that came with us, the initial concern to create the commission.
That has come up. Our resident trooper noted that he issues distracted driving citations on occasion. It is not something that automated traffic enforcement can help with. In fact, it's one of the harder to enforce items that you really need resident trooper enforcement to do. I know he's working on requesting a grant that would potentially enable us to have additional part-time troopers to help with enforcement along the roads. But again, one more trooper or half another trooper is not a whole lot in terms of being able to see every road in Columbia.
I just see that as less of an infringement on civil liberties. That's why.
Well, in and I don't know, I'm not an attorney, I'm
Yeah.
not certainly that, but how do I get a fine going through a toll when it's not I'm not driving the car? How do I get that fine? Cause it's my car.
It's not a fine that you're getting going through a toll, though, you're paying the toll.
But I'm paying, why am I? Kind of runs in the same area, but,
One is accusing someone of a crime, which is speeding, the other one is paying a toll, which is legislated.
okay,
You're accusing someone of a crime where they can't face their accuser.
they can certainly come in. And that has to be dealt with, and they can come in,
And
so,
then you've got a whole process that comes to
Okay.
like that, yeah.
So let me ask you a question. My understanding was that under the current state statute, we're limited to just state highways right now.
That is not correct. We could potentially put them on local roads as well.
We could put them on local road, but I heard what I said. Based upon what occurred earlier with the company from Chicago, they kind of led us to believe that they were focusing more on the state highways.
Particular vendors may only focus on certain types of roads, others will do any road.
Do you need DOT approval for the secondary roads?
Absolutely.
I think because the major roads, that's where we see the volume. So there's no doubt that the money does come into play here. And I'd like to hear what the other towns are doing with the added income, because you can use it for other things like roads and bridge repairs, but also additional law enforcement. So that's one thing. But with, and I don't know, I'd like you to find out from a company or two companies or three companies, find out what their structure is, how they're reimbursed. I know one of them is just through the administrative fees through so many tickets. I think they frowned on putting them on local roads because you stop two or three people who are going very fast on back roads. It's not advantageous for their pocketbook. But if, you know, if we decided to put them on the back roads, I think their pay structure would be, their fund structure would be a lot different. But I think you can put them anywhere you want. You just, the studies that they did in Columbia, they did them on state highways. Of course, it's easy pickings. You know, by my house, it's, I'm waving a checkered flag, you know, but it's easy. The back roads are what we'd like to free up. If the town should decide to do this, free up the, and I've talked to Trooper Allen myself. We will have them in to speak on this at a later date. By far, we're not going through this right now. But, to talk about this, and his has told me, if I can get off the highways, the main state roads and everything, and get to the back roads, it would be, I would be able to enforce the speed on the back roads, you know, a lot better. So, there's a lot of questions, there's no doubt. So I think that we can submit some more concerns and questions to the traffic committee. I appreciate the work that you're doing. Believe me, I attended a meeting or two, and it's a lot. I would like to see you go ask other towns about other ways that they're doing this. I know that we have personally gotten some opinions from people in our town, like the director of the public works, on something such as speed bumps. You know, not in favor of them, but I'd like to know what Mansfield thinks of that. Is it really a hassle to their plow drivers? But what does it do for the people who live on that road? Does it keep the speed down? There, Old Chester, the mumble strips, the rumble strips, get out and find out what the noise is. Is it gonna carry across the lake, or it wakes people up at 1 o'clock in the morning? You know, I'd like to say I doubt it, but I'm not that person who would get woken up if it is that loud. We need to do some research on other things. And again, I appreciate what you're doing out there, but I know the cameras, it's easy pickings, but
Yeah,
I know there's.
I implore that we look into other options on that. I think there's safer options probably. I'm also curious, as we've had, you know, the state Department of Transportation meet with us in the past when we were originally discussing the rumble strips, is there some sort of advisory that the traffic committee can meet with from the state as well to come up with maybe some sort of plan, given that those are the bulk of our highly traveled and highly spent on?
How about that group in Yukon that we've dealt with?
T2 soon.
can we ask them about what they're finding?
They serve as at least an advisory
Yeah,
to maybe give some other ideas beyond the traffic cameras.
you know, I'll tell you, one of the big problems is, speed is a major factor, there's no doubt about it. But like on Route 66 and 87, I'd like to get a feasibility of widening the road to have left turn. So, I mean, it's ridiculous over there. We may not be able to do it, but we'll never know unless we ask the state to see what they can come up with. I know everybody's like, oh my goodness, a rotary. I understand.
Even the turn signal.
I know,
Yeah,
the 3-second one that they have, if you're not turning left, nobody gets to go, so it's useless. So again, keep up the good work, ask the questions, reach out to people. You know, we're not here to approve putting speed cameras toward the town. I think, in my opinion, I think we need some more background on the speed cameras. The Yukon group, also other towns, find out what they're doing with their money. I'd like to know if they're putting it to other troopers, a second trooper, or.
I can answer every question concern you brought up tonight if you'd like. It's data that's available that I've reviewed. I'm happy to share answers to every question.
What's Middletown doing with their money?
They are putting it towards road improvements. There's a number of configuration changes they'd like to make, for instance, along Washington Street, where they have the one camera that seems to get everyone going up on 66. They want to narrow some of that, make it a middle turn lane potentially. So they're investigating a lot of options. They do know that by state statute, they can only use the funds that are coming in from speed camera revenue for traffic and transportation safety improvements. It can potentially be used for hiring additional police officers, for making road improvements, but it has to be in that realm. And the state is watching very closely about every dollar that is spent. And each town has to provide, I believe, annual reports once their program's been online for a little bit, saying here's how we're spending every single dollar that's coming in from there. So it's not just money that's disappearing or going into general funds.
still not my primary concern with it, but we'll speak about it again, I'm sure, so.
Well, what can they do to help, under information?
Alternative suggestions to the speed cameras. I just think that it's a very slippery slope that you're going down by putting in. There's so much litigation out there right now on it and so much potential litigation that can come out of it. I think there are alternatives. I know that you've done a lot of research. But there's other alternatives out there. There has to be other alternatives because I just don't see that as a feasible.
Peaceful location.
Well,
Yeah.
I understand what you're saying.
Yeah.
But there could be more than just one option. It could be a,
100%, could be a package deal, but I just don't think that the speed cameras, I do think it's an infringement on something, so. And I know you don't agree with me, but.
only if I'm speeding. Right? Nobody's, I'm not getting anything from the state going, thank you for going the speed limit.
Yeah, I'm talking due process, I'm not talking like, you're speeding, yes, by all means, the state trooper should pull you over, ticket you, have that face-to-face interaction with you. I just don't like the lack of face-to-face due process that comes with sending somebody a bill for what a machine picks up.
Okay. So at this time, just keep reaching out, get some more information, but also look at other areas. And then when it comes time that we want to, we'll talk about it in the board. I don't think at this time we're ready to bring it before the town.
Can I ask what additional information you would like?
I think with the question and answers in writing, so you can publicize what we've found, instead of having a 2-hour meeting every time we go over question and answers, we should start.
And also I'd like your concerns on paper so we can actually present it to a spokesperson of the company. You absolutely sound knowledgeable and I don't doubt you, whatever. But I need to hear from the company and what they're facing out there for lawsuits and how they're handling it.
So that's one problem is we can't base our ordinance off of having a vendor. It would actually be inappropriate to go in that direction. We should first establish an ordinance to enable this, and then we should seek a vendor. In fact, several towns currently have approved ordinances, and now they're working to find a vendor.
All right, we need to find out if we have to do that. Okay. Any questions? Okay, we'll be in touch with you. All right, we're gonna reach out to find out.
We'll put a hold on the applications, the Danny, there's not, but the people that have to leave, they will speak.
Who are they?
Right now,
Beck and
Henry,
Jeff.
Henry, how much longer do you have till you have to go into a meeting?
Unmute yourself, Henry. Henry, you're muted.
I've got
There we
about
go.
5 minutes, but I'll stretch it. I mean, I really apologize that I'm not there in person. My heart is,
Who?
And Jeff Morrison, when are you coaching?
8 o'clock.
Oh,
8 o'clock, I get
All right.
out there for time.
Who has questions for, anybody have questions for Henry? Henry, how long you been on, lake management?
I am not sure, probably about 10 years, but I've been in love with the lake since I was first a kid, and I've done science projects in high school and Horace Porter School and taken law courses in it and so forth. And I'm
Henry, I got, everybody in here is writing down your answer because they're gonna repeat the same thing, except we're gonna say they're not as old as you. So I'm gonna ask you straight up on this, Henry. There's no doubt that there's been a couple of times where, and I wanted to do this in executive session one-on-one, but there's times where I'm concerned about being extending boundary lines and putting moorings out, and everybody has to be the role model, and especially people who are on Columbia Lake and on LMAC, because you're right there to be the one to help us. There's no doubt about it. Enforce the rules, make the rules crystal clear. And I want you to tell me that you're that role model that's on LMAC who's going to do that. I mean, I don't want to make it sound embarrassing, but everybody here is probably going to get the same question, whether it's in front of everybody or one-on-one with the board here, to be honest with you.
That's fair enough. And I recognize the need to be a poster child, and I try my best to do that. My lightning has drifted in a couple of storms, and I use my motorboat to when I get a couple of heavy people, so I can yank the anchor off the bottom and drag it back into place. That was done again in October, just before I pulled the boat, because I knew I needed to get it back into place. Now the ice may pull it away again, and I will do the same thing in the springtime. There was once this summer a scenario where, when my grandchildren were here, I had a foam floating pad that was between my sailboats and the shoreline, and a rower was concerned about it. I pulled it out every night, but that one that it was there at 5 o'clock in the morning, and I saw her coming, and I ran down and called it out to her because I had failed to get in there and get it out the night before. But that is also one of the areas where we need to focus on, and I've talked to LMAC people about it, because many people put those floating pads in and don't take them out every evening. So, I do my best, and I'm happy to do more if I'm told that I need to.
Thank you. Anybody else have questions for Henry?
Henry, What do you see as the major challenges right now or the next 5 to 10 years for Columbia Lake in general?
The biggest challenge is controlling the phosphate, and to do so, we probably or not probably, we are moving to focus on updating the watershed management plan. And it appears from our consultants that we should focus first on stormwater runoff that has not been addressed. We can certainly review nutrient allocation in the process. That's the long term. In the short term, we've got some education to roll out because we adopted a new ordinance in a soft manner back in July. But its effectiveness is based on a lot of self-inspection by landowners around the lake and the inspections at the beach, and we need to work on that. We also need to take care of cleaning up the ordinances that were in existence before we put that new ordinance in. And we have an open conversation that was put on hold with the DEEP that we need to determine how best to massage that and move forward. So there are a bunch of I would say smaller regulatory things on the agenda that need to be dealt with. But our biggest success is going to be getting good education out this spring before we get into the summer launch season. I would also suggest that LMAC needs to polish its approach to letting water back into the lake when ice is out. We've had a couple of issues with that. There were some changes that were made a few years ago that have proven to have been not in tune with where water levels really are, and we need to look and address those quickly in the next 30 days or so.
Thank you.
Thank you. Anybody, we're all set? Okay, Henry, thank you very much.
Thank you.
Now, Mr. Jeff, I mean, I don't, it's, you really, I'd love to give you 1-on-5 with the board. The question is, you know, if you have to leave and you need to come back at a different time or something in a couple of weeks, that's fine, because there's, you know, you're gonna kind of be, asked some questions you may not, everybody may not, wanna deal with in front of people.
I have no issues.
Why do you wanna be on LMAC?
I wanna make a difference. I wanna make it, I wanna help make the lake available and usable for all the town residents and make it fair and equitable for everyone. And I believe that some of the recommendations for the legislative effort for the rules of the lake have been overly redundant. I also believe that some of those rules could be written better. There are some of those rules that don't take into account, okay, a broad spectrum of issues. It seems like if these rules are written in such a way to focus in on specific issues. And that's not what the spirit of legislation is. The spirit of legislation is to give a guideline to the community to work with it. Okay, and to have representatives from the town that if there needs to be some enforcement or education, some latitude to address those issues. And I think with my over 30 years of, you know, service to the community, with 10 years of pre-hospital and emergency services, and also 20 years of law enforcement and policy writing for the capital city, that a bunch of my policies are actually still in effect for the patrol officers and have actually survived litigation. And these are policies, procedures for patrol officers to be able to address situations. So I think that experience would be beneficial for LMAC to be able to help write and draft suggestions for it.
Think being on Lake Patrol last year, if you were on Lake Patrol and on LMAC, is that a conflict?
I would leave that up to LMAC and the Board of Selectmen to make that determination. I know that there has been a significant hiccup and speed bump in the role of Lake Patrol. With where incidents and information is brought before the town. And issues that have arisen both on town hours and off town hours and on weekends and holiday events where there was significant safety issues. And the crew that you had working the last couple of years, they have a significant level of experience in de-escalation and working with the community and working with policies, procedures, and legislative statutes for enforcement. They've definitely run into some hiccups on both sides, okay, for Marine Patrol and with their interpretation. So I would leave it up to the Board of Selectmen to determine if that would be a conflict of interest. If that would be determined as a conflict of interest, I wouldn't do Marine Patrol again while sitting on the board.
Are you a fisherman?
I am, sir.
You're one of the fishermen who gets on the lake at different hours and stuff?
Yes, sir, I am. I've been fishing Columbia Lake since 2006.
But you don't reside on lakefront?
No, sir.
Yeah, okay.
I bought 2 homes in the town.
Jack, you mentioned that you had some issues with some regulations generally.
Yes.
Are there specific regulations that you can refer to that trouble you?
Well, one particular regulation is in regards to the new ordinance that Henry Beck had alluded to for July. And that was the specification of single engine boats with an internal combustion motor for operations only. And the issue that I had during some of the meetings when LMAC was drafting this stuff, I brought this issue up, that not all vessels have just one engine, and I used my vessel as an example. I have a 1995 Sea-Doo Speedster, okay, with 2 Rotax inboard jet engines, both rated at 70 horsepower each, creating a total of 140 horsepower, which is under the 150 horsepower limit. But under the current statute, it says you can only have 1 internal combustion engine and 1 electric engine, which is gonna be for the fishermen for the trolling. So by regulation for town ordinance, my Sea-Doo Speedster that I've owned for the last 6 years is now not allowed to be on the lake legally. So when it was brought up during the meeting, it was brought to my attention that they're going to look at it, they're gonna revise it, and
Do you see any changes you'd like to happen, if you did get on them?
Personally, I would like to start with the rating control vote portion of the ordinance to actually get that repealed. One of my reasonings with that would be mainly for the use of the Canadian geese. Speaking with Department of Environmental Protection, their recommended proactive approach with because that could be endangering not only to the operator without specific training, but also endangering to the actual bird itself. Okay, and since they are federally protected and protected by state law, that would be a concern. So if you have a couple of those powerboats out there, that's obviously not gonna injure or kill the geese. Okay, and that's more of an approved, recommended method to proactively address.
Did we use the RC boats last year?
We are actually not allowed to use RC boats on Columbia Lake. It's against the town limits.
Yes. Well. We'll talk about that when you're out, how's it? You know,
Just my thoughts.
yeah, she asked, so that's fine. Okay. Any other questions for Jeff? Who's playing basketball?
My youngest. How old is he? Team. He's 12 years old, 7th, 8th grade. And I think we have a team that can actually take Wyndham and take the championship this year.
I got a few of your games on my schedule. No more questions? Well, thank you. So.
Good. All right.
All right, so anybody else that has to leave? Wants to talk in front of everybody? Great. So. Columbia Lake Dam and Beach application for repair. First one is. Henry Beck. I see now. No. So, Henry wants to repair a lake wall per recommendation and do it on the recommendation of LMAC. There is, the guidelines that he'll adhere to. So I move to approve the application for Henry Beck, 41 Sleepy Hollow Road for the repair of the lake wall per the recommendation and guidelines of LMAC. Henry's not there, huh?
There's a date error in his application.
Well,
It says all work to be accomplished after the drawdown on November 1st and finished before March 15th, 2025. Hoping that. Anybody else know?
no, thank you for looking at it. I don't even see that on there.
It's under number 1, under Almanac Advices.
Stage bid.
Sorry, yeah, first page and then the Lake Dams tab.
Oh, okay. Free.
Yeah, those are standard terms we use every year, that we just have updated. Standard form.
We have it around that, hasn't
Well, I can see what you
Only
want
does
that,
that.
but one of our new ones.
that's fine. So with the correction done by 2026, any more discussion? All those in favor? Aye. We got to,
That's correct,
it's correct on that. Correct, yeah. Application for the dock, 166 Route 87. Replacement. Mike Scalise, you go out and look at this one?
Yes, I did.
Name exact footprint, right?
Same exact footprint, same size, same location.
Okay. I move to approve the application for Eric and Tracy Sodergren, 166 Route 87 for the replacement of a dock per the recommendation of LMAC. Any discussion? All those in favor? Aye. So this water lift. Up the stand, so. It says here a new one, they're. They're actually replacing. No. Okay. For a permit to bring a jet ski lift up to Columbia Lake standards. That's what the application I have in front of me says, bring it up to standards, that would mean there's already one there that's not up to standards?
There's one there that was never permitted.
Oh,
So he wants to bring it up, he wants the permit. Go through the permit process and legalize that jet ski lift. It's been there for
many years,
13 years.
before we had a formal. And you just throw darts against the wall, formal process? People were just. Yeah, I know, so he's trying to do the right thing and. So, does he meet the guidelines for frontage for this?
Does,
It's all set.
yes.
Okay, well, you know what? I appreciate him stepping up and doing the right thing. So I move to approve the application for LRF Lakeside LLC, 22A Lake Road, for the permit to bring a jet ski lift up to Columbia Lake standards. And permitted to follow the town's permitting process. Recommended by LRAC. Must have saw some people walking around the lake looking at things. Any discussion? All those in favor?
I,
Aye. Opposed? Thank you. Okay, you'll see here that on the agenda was an application for the installation of a dock for Carrie and Kathleen Butler. That application has been withdrawn. That dock was actually placed and it will be removed. So. Thank you. Um. Because there's. We're gonna skip from L81 to 82 because we're gonna have to talk to some people. For LMAC, 82 is Inland Wetlands and Watercourses Commission. Because there's not more people than there are seats. I move to appoint Mary Royal, Claude Garrett, and Ian Dunn to the Inland Wetlands and Watercourses Commission. Discussion, we're all on there already, correct?
Well, I looked.
We did this.
Yeah.
Okay.
His term goes to 2027.
I already said that.
Right.
So we're all set here?
Yes.
Any discussion on those three? All those in favor?
I,
Thank you. Town administrator's report.
Just some good news, we received a $5,000 grant from CIRAC. And, they're gonna use it to enhance their local opioid addiction, overdose prevention and response efforts. Coordinated through CIRAC and working through our senior center and social service coordinator. So
Can it be used for other stuff?
yes, that's what it's a whole application process, and this is what the senior center will focus on. We had been using the grant for something else in the education aspect, but
What was it, like the vaping or something?
yes,
Okay.
now it's focused more towards opioid use.
Well, I'd love to know what they're going to do.
I'll ask Bernadette and Mary to.
Is the social services coordinator must be involved in it, right?
Yes.
Okay, thank you.
I also included some of the major litigation. Or not litigation, legislative efforts that CCM, our lobbyist group, will be focusing on with our legislators. It's coming up session. And if you go through it, you'll be able to, I won't take time tonight, but you'll see some of the major categories of education, environmental management and energy, municipal law and labor relations, land use, housing, transportation, infrastructure, economic development, and public safety, public health, and human services. You can see some of the focuses that I'll be working on. And if you have any feedback for me, I can get it to CCM at some of these areas. Or if you want more in-depth knowledge, this is just a real high level bullet points on some of the things we're working on. And that's all I have. Oh, the board of selectmen are also welcome to come to the employee Christmas party, which will be Thursday at 5.
And tri-board meeting is tomorrow night. Right?
Yes. Starting at 7.
We have no transfers, we have no refunds. I move to approve the payment of bills totaling $125,236.53, consisting of 25.6 emergency, 25.6 regular, credit card and paychecks. You had a, says here, employee, that's employee benefit. We paid them $5,900 to come in and talk to work. What is this? Employee benefit advisory services?
Yeah, that's I was just noticed that I have to talk to Bev about that. It's not, it's something that the employers are purchasing, three employees are purchasing, and it's outside of the normal benefits. So I have to find out exactly what that is. I looked at that tonight as well.
Yeah, I wanna know why we're paying it then. It wasn't, I don't know what it is. Please get back to me.
I will.
Anybody else?
Oh, so what you're referencing, 5,900, that's something else. That's Lindbergh Ripple, that's our healthcare advisor,
You're our healthcare advisor.
right? With the marketplace.
So they advise us, and do we also do our healthcare through their agency?
No, we do not, we go through the state now.
So that's like a marketplace where they,
Right, as a consultant.
as a consultant.
And if employees have issue, or if we have employees that are retiring and growing up, any question we have in healthcare, we go to those consultants. Make sure we're doing everything right.
Okay, so the other thing I want you to notice that you're gonna see items 06, 77, 61, and 62. That's flyers and the 250th anniversary signs. It's not really an anniversary sign, but that money's already that's been donated by individuals in town. We may be writing the checks out of here, but it is reimbursed to the town by donors. So the town's not spending any money on the 250th celebration yet. Okay. Any other discussion? All those in favor of paying bills? Aye. Thank you. So it's a little different. Well, audience of citizens, I know not all of you were coming before us about lake management. Audience of citizen, anybody? Want to say anything, talk? Wish us well, good luck, nothing? Okay. Nobody online? To say anything? Or
Nobody has any, okay.
board member comments, you need anything? Good to go, ready? Perfect. So here's the deal, it's a little bit different. I know it's different. This is the way it's, every board and commission should be reviewed every year. Or every 2 years, some of them are, 2-year terms. We'll ask that you wait. We'll call you in one by one and give you some questions, or we can lay it out there, it's up to you, but at this time. I'm going to suspend the board of selectmen meeting at 7:54. And move into executive session for personnel. I invite Mark Walter to stay with me. And then we'll call you in one by one and talk to you about it. Okay?
They also have the right to ask for comment too, right?
Yeah, you want to speak in front of everybody? Sure.
They have the right to ask for that, that's why I just wanted to see, before we kick everybody out, if there was anyone who's requesting that.
Yeah. Yes, Bob.
Question, how will you do this via Zoom?
You'll go first and then we'll disconnect you.
Perfect, thank you very much.
Buddy else on there?
Yeah, we don't know who the other phone is.
Who's they? I can't read it.
860,
They left.
Nobody.
they left.
Can I just say a couple of, just a few things publicly before everybody leaves?
Okay, no, it's a citizen. Yeah, sure, go ahead, Ron. Yeah.
Michael Nazzo, current chair of LMAC. This Saturday, will be 20 years that I've been on LMAC. And due to recent changes, and I did not take this lightly, I'm going to be resigning, and I have a letter of resignation here. I really appreciate the opportunity to serve the town. It has been a privilege to serve with such a talented, intelligent, and diverse group. You know, one of the things I think we had on LMAC were we didn't all agree, and we had it out sometimes, and that's okay. But I think we also learned to learn from each other and learn from those perspectives, because sometimes there's a little bit of I told you so, and that's okay too. I tried as chair to or strive to promote balance and progress in the board, and I really appreciate all the work that this amazing board has done to the state, and I believe they all still have a tremendous amount to contribute in their own different way. Because we are different, very different. And I really appreciated that. I also hope the legacy of my predecessors, I always am humbled by those visionaries that came before me as chair and before I joined the board, to think about this lake way before it was, you know, issues of invasive species and phosphorus and all those things. I mean, think about and I would hope that we can honor their vision forward. I'm committed to a smooth transition. I'm here to help, and I'll probably go back to the audience of citizens on many meetings, just as I started. I came to town, and I wasn't appointed until, I guess it was 2005. I moved to town in 2000, and I came almost every night, just as a audience of citizens, and I would ask that you use that maybe as a metric as you're choosing new members. Please, do they come to regular meetings? Are they there? Even if they're not on board, because I learned a lot just sitting here, and it really helped me when I stand humbly on their shoulders as I moved forward. So moving forward, I just would like to publicly endorse Jim Santos as chairperson. I believe that he's got great balance and vision for the lake and certainly cares a lot about it. And also I'd like to endorse, or to keep as chair, and then as vice chair, I'd like to endorse Frank Gifford. I believe, I know you're new to the board, but I've had a chance to get to know Frank, and he came for many meetings for over a year, I think, before he got onto the board, so. But again, I just want to finish with thank you. Thank you to LMAC, thank you for the selectmen for your support. And thank you for this opportunity to speak publicly.
Thank you, Arnold.
Thanks for your service.
Thank you for being on lake management.
Well, thank you. A lot of appreciation going around, and I'm not going anywhere, so. Meaning I'll be available if anybody has any questions or, you know, whatever I can do to support the town. Thank you. Thank you. All right, now you can all go.
Are you going to executive session on 8:01?
Thank you. Just long with us. Yeah. Stay. No, you're all set. Oh, you know what I mean. Yeah. I'm thank you. Got you. Thank you. Oh, and I'm sorry, just didn't say this. Thank you, Mark and Jen, for incredible support. You know, these guys are amazing. Amazing stuff. But thank you, guys.
All right, so.
Yeah, get rid of the job.
Hand off and
So in 9:51, we came out of executive session and resumed the Board of Selectmen. On top of those already appointed 2 weeks ago, Mary Royko, Ann Dunick, Greg Stryker, and Phyllis Dunn. The action taken is to appoint Monty Carter, Frank Gifford, Mike Scalise, Jim Santos, Henry Beck, Robert Powell, and Jeff Morrison to the LMAC committee. All those in favor? Aye. Opposed?
Did you
No.
get everybody? 1, 2.
Beck, Morrison, Santos, Powell, Gifford, Scalise, Carter.
Jeff,
1, 2, 3, 4,
Yeah,
5,
Jeff,
6, 7,
three.
8, 9, 10, 11.
yeah, Jeff, Henry, Mary,
Action on move 11.
Ian, Greg, Phyllis,
At
Muffy.
this time is
We did.
we're all set.
you did, okay.
At this time, can I make a motion to adjourn? All those in favor?
Bye.
Thank you.
Thank you for your willingness.